South African delegation, I'd like to just thank RIS and the ministry, of course, for setting up this opportunity for us to get together again and to continue this conversation about IBSA and the role of universities and the knowledge project of our societies and so on. We are a very small delegation, and I hope you understand that the size of the delegation is inversely proportional to our interest. So we are truly interested and excited about our work on IBSA. And of course, I've never been to Kochi before, so thank you for that opportunity too. I have so strong recollections of our 2008 meeting in Durban, the Durban Academic Forum, which was extremely productive in identifying a set of kind of 6 areas, I recall, where we kind of thought about IBSA as being driven by these 6 academic or intellectual projects, if you like. And I think that one of the big challenges that we spoke about at the time was to try and understand just what was the role of IBSA in the global context. I mean, just, why, we could easily just set up sort of bilateral agreements or trilateral agreements and so on in the traditional sense, but was there something special about IBSA? And I hope that today and tomorrow that we reinvigorate that discussion, because I think that's the critical issue for us. The one thing we didn't discuss, I'm afraid, at that point, it was just how we would ensure the continuity of our work around IBSA, and that seems to me to be a really important part of today and tomorrow's work, to try and ensure that we do build a kind of sustainability into our work. One of the things I think we have to all come to grips with is just the fact that between the creation of the IBSA Academic Forum and now, there's been such a huge set of changes in our contexts, both local contexts and global contexts. I mean, the one really fabulous kind of memory I have is presenting the outcomes of the academic forum to the 3 heads of state, and at the time the heads of state were Manmohan Singh, President Lula da Silva from Brazil, and President Thabo Mbeki from, and you can't imagine a bigger change, if you like, between then and now. But that, of course, is symptomatic of other changes that are taking place in the global environment. And we all have to really focus on the state of our democracies, the state of the economy and its impact on the quality of life of our people. Global conditions of trade have changed enormously. Of course, there are these massive changes in the geopolitical kind of architecture, if you like. And of course, most importantly, and perhaps kind of a looming crisis that we face as a human race, is just the destruction of the human-earth nexus, just the breakdown of the way in which the earth can sustain humanity and so on. And that's going to be something that we're going to have to spend time thinking about. Again, I just want to emphasize that, I don't see IBSA as a kind of normal, especially, I mean now the academic forum. I don't see IBSA's academic forum as being just another kind of academic collaboration, if you like, between 3 countries. That's relatively easy to put together. The big question is, how do we use this to begin to change the architecture of the global knowledge system? And that, for me, is what makes this such an exciting project. One of the key issues, it seems to me, is really to try and understand what the relationship between IBSA and BRICS is, and in particular the way in which our societies are involved in those 2 large constructs, if you like. I don't believe it's one or the other. I think both of them are really important, and all 3 of our nations are involved in both. But we do need clarity about how IBSA relates to BRICS and how BRICS relates to IBSA, and in particular to come to grips with how these 3 countries, with their particularities, can play a role in that bigger construct, if you like. which is a very complex construct. I think what I'm arguing is that IBSA is not as, is more coherent and cohesive, it seems to me, than BRICS is. And the big question is, how do we galvanize that for a better functioning of the BRICS enterprise? So just in conclusion then, just to say that I think one of the things we have to ask ourselves over the next 2 days is, why are we excited about the BRICS, our IBSA Academic Forum? What are we hoping to achieve with it? How do we ensure continuity? That was my second point, and I think that's absolutely critical. I think if we're going to wait for another 7 years, we might as well pack it up, and think of some other construct. We really have to think about what do we need for continuity, and to try and ensure that there's an ongoing engagement, that it's not just once a year that we get together and so on. Thirdly, that we have to understand that the critical issue is really the building of a community of global scholars. There can't be a more important challenge at this point in our history. Young scholars who are really engaged across borders and who think in global terms and so on. And I can't think of a better kind of structure in terms of this, but the IBSA Academic Forum. And it seems to me that the one thing we have to do, and which we did recognize in 2008, was this idea that we need to address the challenges facing our nations. That I think the academic forum's work, I don't want to exclude theoretical physics because that's what I am, but it seems to me that we really have to focus on the big challenges facing our nations and to use that as a way of galvanizing new thinking about the way in which knowledge is constructed and so on. I'd like to say to the chair that what I would really like us to do is to trade in the Mercedes-Benz for a much more efficient Maruti or Toyota or something like that. Thank you so much.